So thank you all for joining the Big Pitch ADA for 2021. We're thrilled to have you all here and thrilled that we could feature the entrepreneurs in the pitch competition today. My name is Jim Eldridge, and I'm the president and CEO of the Ada Jobs Foundation. And again, we are thrilled to be able to offer this opportunity to everyone here and to the Ada community. Just a little bit of background about this and what we're doing, and then we'll walk through the agenda for today and kind of how the format's going to go. But this is the third year of the Big Pitch ADA. This is a community-wide entrepreneurial pitch competition where entrepreneurs can pitch their ideas before a panel of judges and receive expert feedback and money for their business idea or their pitch. And we really wanted to offer this as a way to extend the work that has been going on in Ada for some time. East Central University started an event several years ago called Tiger Tank that was really focused on high school and college students having the opportunity to pitch. And what we realized is there was a huge opportunity for people to move beyond their, this kind of school-based experience and move out into the community. So we wanted to create ways that people could continue refining their business idea, keep having the opportunity to get support. And we also wanted a way for the community in Ada to view what's the state of entrepreneurship like in our region. What are we part of in terms of this larger Oklahoma network that is really significant and really cool? So we do this in conjunction with Global Entrepreneurship Week as a way to celebrate entrepreneurship in Ada. We've been spending the last few weeks supporting a couple of local entrepreneurs that have gone through our Startup Ada bootcamp into being able to be pitch ready for this event. So we're really, really excited today. And just to let you know a little bit about Global Entrepreneurship Week, we participate with other communities throughout the state of Oklahoma in Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's basically a week that's designated where people around the world are doing all kinds of very interesting, innovative, and fun events to showcase entrepreneurship, to celebrate entrepreneurship, and to show that it's really important. The Ada Jobs Foundation is a nonprofit accredited economic development organization. And one of the things we're doing with these entrepreneurship programs is really finding a way to diversify our economic base and to really support those new and innovative companies that can further contribute to our local or regional economy. So we've really promoted entrepreneurship as something where Ada is a very entrepreneurial community. And we've promoted entrepreneurship as a way to really further our economic development efforts. So again, we're thrilled that this is Global Entrepreneurship Week. We're thrilled to have you all join us today and be with us presently. And we are thrilled that this is something that we can offer, to the community. So the way this is going to go is we have two judges. We have Amy Childers-Elliott here with us today. And I think you can see Amy over here, and I'll let Amy introduce herself here in just a sec. And we have Jim Lawson joining us with Pontotoc Technology Center. Both of our judges have a long experience as entrepreneurs. They have a great deal of experience educating and supporting entrepreneurs. And they also have experience as our judges. Jim Lawson has been our Big Pitch judge since we've started. He's been with us every year, and we are so appreciative he can be with us. Jim is an entrepreneur and experienced working in the manufacturing sector, experience working and kind of running a small business and seeing things from the Main Street perspective. He's served as the Ada Jobs Foundation board chair, the Ada Main Street board chair, and has been very active in the community. Jim, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself real quick to the audience.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the introduction, and I'm just glad to be here and to support everybody who's got a pitch for us. And we're going to do a great job today of helping to evaluate those pitches. And shout out to the Global Entrepreneurship Week as we continue to participate with all the entrepreneurs all over the country and all over the world. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. And Amy Childers-Elliott is our community development specialist here at the Ada Jobs Foundation, very new, but Amy's also a professor of business and entrepreneurship at East Central University. Amy has a long history in many different fields, but we're thrilled to have Amy on as a judge. Amy, would you like to introduce yourself? Are you guys able to hear Amy? give us just a sec. We might need to fix Amy's microphone real quick. We will resolve that here in just a minute. Amy, did it work for you? Okay, we will figure that out here in just a second, but we're using some new technology and some new offices in our building, so just bear with us as we move forward with this. But I'll just give a quick introduction about Amy. As I mentioned, Amy has long experience as an entrepreneur. She has experience in the finance world, brings a whole level of expertise working with small and large organizations, working with nonprofits. Amy's wonderful, and we'll give her a chance to fix her microphone and let her introduce herself towards the end when we do some of the judging. So how this is going to go today is we will feature 4 entrepreneurs in 2 categories, each doing a pitch. So the 2 categories that we have are idea stage companies that are really at the early stage of what they're doing and are still formulating their business idea, and they're pitching the idea for their business that will hopefully develop into a revenue generating business. We also have a track for revenue generating businesses. We have 2 of those as well. And these are businesses that are currently generating revenue that are ready to really build and accelerate what they're working on to the next level. So each company will have up to 15 minutes to pitch before the judges. The judges will have about 10 minutes of time for Q&A. We usually leave about 5 minutes or so between pitches for the judges to record their notes, or also build in any time we need to kind of transfer between pitches. I'm confident that the entrepreneurs we have today are on top of it. They know what they're doing, and we should have some excellent and very concise pitches. So we may not necessarily use all that time, but we certainly want to allow it in case anyone needs it. So we are going to begin today with the idea stage category. We'll feature 2 companies there for about the first hour. And then heading into the second hour, we're going to feature the revenue generating pitches from the 2 other companies we have here today. As audience members, if you have any Q&A, please put it in the chat. Just know that our judges are primarily going to be running Q&A and wanting to get through their questions first. But we'll try to keep track of anything. And if the judges are done with questions and there's a little bit of time left, we may have an opportunity for audience questions to come through. We encourage you to don't worry about turning on your video through this event. We'd love for our participants to have their video on, but don't feel like you need to have your camera on for this event. But we ask that, this is a professional event, and we ask that you include any, Q&A that's constructive and, helpful to the companies working here. So with that, we are going to jump into our first pitch of the day. So we're going on idea stage companies, and we have 2 companies here that are ready to go in that area. So I'm going to hand it over to Crystal Russell with Maker's Market to begin her first pitch. So Crystal, if you want to turn on the camera and get going, I will hand it over to you. I think it's a little quiet. You might need to speak a little bit louder.
Okay, I'll try talking a little bit louder. Does that help at all?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will do my best, and hopefully everything will work out. I'm going to get ready to share my screen.
Okay, and we'll just wait for you to get your screen up and shared, and then give it just a sec here.
Can everybody see the first slide? Okay, good. All right, so my name is Crystal Russell. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator. I've been a creative entrepreneur in some form or other most of my life. And I would like to introduce you to the Maker's Market. But first, have you ever visited an outdoor festival and seen the blacksmiths or the wood carvers or the glass blowers or the giant looms, and see all these people work on these live demonstrations of their craft, or visited a gift shop and held some handmade pottery, and you felt that spark inside, that feeling of, I wish I could do this. And so you go home and you get on Google and you start looking at how to do this amazing thing that you saw. And you might find out that just the basic equipment to get started is thousands of dollars. And you're going to have to dedicate your garage to this hobby, but maybe you don't even have a garage. And perhaps worst of all, there's nowhere locally that you can learn how to do this. There's classes in the city, but that's a long commute. And so gradually, after hitting all of these roadblocks, that spark begins to die. And that is where the Maker's Market comes in. The Maker's Market is a makerspace for creative people of all ages to reignite that spark, to explore new hobbies, to start a new business, or to grow a business they already have. It combines short and long-term private studio space rentals with professional grade equipment rentals and classes taught by experienced artisans to help artists along every step of their creative journey. The market aspect of the Maker's Market is a gallery and a gift shop where these artists will have the option to show and sell their goods. But this also creates a one-stop shop for the local community to find handcrafted goods that are quality, that are made in their area. And they can possibly even watch a live demonstration of these things being made and learn how to make them themselves. So with that in mind, I'm so sorry about that. I would like to introduce everyone to Julia. So Julia is a recent graduate at Centennial University. She started a new job last summer and she's renting a small house with a few friends from college. She took some art classes while she was at UCU and she fell in love with pottery. But she's just starting out her new career and she doesn't have a lot of the money that she would need even to get just a basic student level wheel or kiln. So she hasn't found any local art classes available to her. There's some in the city that's a 3-hour round trip commute once a week, and she's not sure that that's just sustainable for her after work. So she's slowly resigning herself to the idea that she's going to have to give up on pottery at least for a while until she discovers the Maker's Market. She can rent a studio for a day whenever inspiration strikes. She'll have access to professional grade pottery wheels, films, and all the tools that she'll need to create her art. She'll be working around other local professionals who can teach her and help her skills grow. And once she's ready, she can turn her hobby into a business. So what the Maker's Market is doing is we're creating a low financial risk for access to the space and the tools that people need to pursue their creative interests. They're reducing the economic roadblocks to those skills. With the market aspect, we're creating a centralized hub for all of these artists to share their work and sell their work, but also for the public to have access to these handcrafted goods. And we're also taking skilled crafts like metalsmithing, wood carving, stained glass, leatherworking that aren't readily taught and available, and we're preserving those crafts and sharing them with younger generations. So who is our target customer? The Maker's Market will thrive best with two kinds of customers, the hobbyists and the professionals. We'll need experienced craftspeople to help teach these skills, but we'll also need hobbyists and students to learn those skills and expand the maker community. This is where the combination of short-term and long-term studio rentals is going to be key. A monthly studio rental doesn't make economic sense for someone who only needs it on the weekends as they're learning their skills. But someone with a small business or who is transitioning out of a home-based business needs a dedicated space that they're not having to shuffle their equipment in and out of, but for months at a time. So how are we going to find these people? Well, East Central University, as Julia taught us, is going to be a key resource. There's a wonderful arts program there. There's going to be a lot of students who are current students, as well as graduating students and recent graduates who will be interested in continuing the skills that they learned at school. We also want to reach out to local grade schools in the community. There's a lot in the county, both for the students and the art teachers, but also to reach out to their families and find people who need to reignite that spark of creativity for these passions that they may have let go a long time ago. We want to reach out to local art galleries like the Massacre gallery here in town, because they have a network of established craft people who may be interested both in teaching these classes and in the studio space that's available. We also want to use festival and craft market as a resource for finding more of these professionals who are experienced in making their goods and selling their goods, and give them a new resource that they can use. And for those of you who are familiar with the Tulsa Foundation, they offer an IBT program where employees are encouraged to pursue classes in artistic and cultural opportunity for them to explore a new hobby and learn a new hobby. So these are my projected startup expenses for the first year. Based on a commercial lease of about 3,500 square feet, this includes 4 300 square foot studios, 2 500 square foot studios, as well as 1,300 square feet for the gallery and market, a small office, and storage for the professional equipment that's not being used. The utilities include running water, climate control, ventilation to each of these studio spaces, and let me tell you, there is nothing worse than trying to throw pottery with cold water and cold clay in the middle of winter without a space heater. It is absolutely miserable. To start out, I've estimated $20,000 for the equipment purchase. What exactly that will be, we'll be discussing in a few minutes when I talk a little bit more about discovery, but that's the professional grade equipment initial purchase. Inventory is specifically art supplies to be sold and to be used in the classes. So there is some competition in our local community for art supplies with Hobby Lobby and Walmart and even local craft stores like Scraptopia. However, this is art supplies that are very specific to the types of classes that will be taught and the type of equipment that is available to be rented. So that specific high quality art supplies isn't necessarily in stock or readily available. So that's where that inventory comes in. The marketing budget is a little bit on the high side for the grand opening and launch in the first year. The labor cost is for a part-time gallery market manager / office manager to take care of reservations, and as well as reimbursing the instructors for their time to teach classes. And then, of course, there's insurance and the startup legal fees associated with that. But after the first startup year, of course, the commercial lease is for the same. Utilities has increased a little bit just based on the occupancy rate expected for those studio spaces. The equipment purchase has transitioned to equipment maintenance to make sure all of the equipment is in tip-top shape, ready to be rented and not just gathering dust and storage. Inventory, the art supplies is also increased based on the idea of higher class attendance for those classes and the studio occupancy. The marketing budget has gone down a little bit compared to the grand opening year, with the idea being that marketing would shift more away from the studio rentals and more towards class registration and as a tourism generation for the market and gallery, with the labor and in terms of revenue, this is the projected revenue starting in year 2. These are initial thoughts on the rental rates for those 6 studio units, which is an average based on, it would vary depending on which size of studio that you would rent, but with the 25 per day, $140 for $450, as well as the on-site equipment rental, class registration, just the idea of doing perhaps 3 weekly classes per month with that some students use $5 for registration fees for that class. Art supply sales, the revenue generated from those art supplies, and the bottom 2 being the commission that the gallery would make for the sales of those handcrafted goods made by the artist, both on site at the market and then with the possible option of doing that online as well. So here's what I need from you to get started. I am currently looking for connections to local makers to help with the discovery phase. I'm trying to build a network of more professional handcrafted artisans in the Ada area to discover who is available for specific classes. So who would be interested in teaching and what kinds of skills they could teach. And with that information, what sort of equipment I would need to be able to purchase to have available for them. I'm also looking for a business mentor, preferably in the art or education community, to help with the planning and implementation of the educational aspect of this program. And hopefully the big push is going to help me reach out to other maker spaces in large urban areas, even just Dallas and Oklahoma City and Tulsa, to find out how they help their more urban community and how we can modify that and make it better for our rural communities. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Crystal, and appreciate the presentation. I'm going to open it up to our judges, Amy and Jim, to see if they have any questions or things they want to know more about in your presentation.
Crystal, can you hear me? Hi. Okay, good. Have you done, as you've interviewed potential renters, what are you seeing as your biggest challenge going forward to get them into your space?
So I think the biggest thing is making sure that the equipment and the space meet all of the requirements they need for their trade. So there are metal workers and blacksmiths who are concerned about, well, we have to have running water. We have, in the past we've had trouble with noise. So is their noise level are they going to get a lot of complaints from their neighbors about the noise level that they're doing? So it's definitely making sure that not necessarily that it's custom tailored to every possible applicant, but that these considerations are taken into consideration during the, not necessarily construction, but the remodeling and the preparation of the space.
Crystal, it's Jim Lawson. You mentioned $20,000 worth of equipment. What equipment are you really expecting to get for $20,000?
No, and that's part of the question too. I think to start, it would be the pottery wheel and the kiln, or a couple of wheels and kilns and the accessories needed for those, and that's going to run about $8,000. And then based on that, what avenue is going to meet best at that point. So whether that's going to be leatherworking tools or some jewelry smithing and goldsmithing tools at that point. I don't expect to get a lot of CNC machinery or big machinery at that point, but mostly the smaller tools and some.
Okay, thank you. Amy, do you have another question?
I do. Thank you, Jim. Crystal, you looked at the difference in marketing costs. You have, was it 35 listed for year 1 versus 20 going forward. You mentioned that going forward would be marketing classes. How are you looking at year one? Once you fill your space, there would be a gap. Do you have that addressed at any way, of how you're going to take care of that middle time between filling your maker space to the point you're up and running and it's a viable business and you've moved into class-based marketing?
So what I'm hoping to do is offer sort of a scholarship program and more live demonstrations and things like that to get more community awareness of what's available and reaching out to the network of artists and hobbyists and trying to get this generation of what's available and then moving from that into a class structure.
You mentioned in your presentation there that you were looking for 3,500 square feet. And you've also said something about some requirements from a noise perspective, from other environmental issues. Do you have a space that you are looking at, or is this just not quite there yet? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. It's not quite there yet, although I do have the general idea that something along the lines of perhaps an old auto body shop, that kind of thing, with a different garage space might be an interesting concept in terms of dividing those up into studios. It would just be a matter of getting utilities and everything out of each one, but just that basic structure concept is interesting.
So my next one is going to be, so if you don't get the pitch money, are you going to continue with this progress anyway?
I love this idea. It's something that I personally have struggled with as a creative entrepreneur in Ada, of finding classes for hobbies that strike my interest and not being able to get the tools that I need for pursuing those hobbies and things that I've experienced and watched others experience as well. And I think there's some possibilities there.
Crystal, I just have one final question. As you pull in these makers, do you have a planned exit strategy for those makers, or are you hoping to, get the 6 makers in and that be who stays? Are you looking at any churn, or are you looking at those being a stable group that you're providing studio space and then retail space for?
Absolutely. So I'm hoping that that the long-term rentals will be fairly steady, and those being 2 to 3 of the 6 available spaces, with the other 3 spaces being mostly short-term rentals. I expect a lot of turnover with those. And then aside from that, I expect there to be semi-annual or biannual, I guess, turnover. I don't expect the long-term renters to stay more than 3 years. It's a smaller space, it's meant to be a very transitional space. But I would like to have a network of people who can come in maybe for a month or 2 at a time to teach the class and have more seasonal craft people come in. So there's more variety available than just the 6 spaces that I can offer.
All right. Well, judges, any other questions, or does that answer everything? Okay. Crystal, thank you so much for your pitch. We really, really appreciate it, and are excited to hear about your great ideas. So with that, we're going to move on to the second company in our idea stage category. This is CB Original by Charity Barton. So Charity, if you want to turn on your video and get ready to share your pitch. I'll give you just a sec to get ready. And yes, and by the way, if you guys want to give a quick virtual round of applause to Crystal. She did a great job. So snap, clap. Thank you so much, Crystal. We really appreciate it. And Charity, if you can hear us. Okay, there you are. Great. Yeah, whenever you're ready, I think you should be able to be a co-host and can share your presentation as needed. Okay.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Share. And can everyone see my screen? Awesome. Okay, great. My name is Charity Barton. I am the founder and CEO of CB Original. As a confident and secure person, I have been asked this question a lot. How did I learn to love myself? I didn't realize this question had been plaguing my peers post-undergrad, and let's face it, their lives up until undergrad. It wasn't until 2019, while teaching in Watts, Los Angeles, California, that I finally had an answer. Stories shaped my life. I grew up with parents who went to a historically Black college, HBCU, in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up hearing the stories about life at a school where the peers look just like you. I grew up hearing stories about powerful and influential Black leaders in the community. My hair, my melanated skin, my vernacular, my clothes, my culture was the center of many bedtime stories and movie nights. My parents made me feel seen and heard in every room that my feet stepped in. In fourth grade, my teacher gave me additional reading. This book was called The Skin I'm In by Sharon Draper. I followed the main character as she journeyed through middle school, learning how to love her melanated skin, despite the problems that loving herself seemed to be and cause for other people around her. It was a story that shaped my life. Thank you, Ms. Jakeway. I went to a historically Black middle and high school. I had the classes where I've learned about the Harriet Tubmans and the Ida B. Wells. Black excellence was not only taught, but celebrated. My favorite and most popular class was African American History Studies. Or as my teacher, also an HBCU alum, Howard University in Washington, DC, he liked to refer to the class as a study of history through the perspective of African Americans. These stories shaped my life. In fact, the stories we hear matter. Well-represented stories matter more. In other words, I love myself because I grew up in an incubation of self-love because of these stories, and it's missing for so many people. And this is why I am here today. What was so normal for me was abnormal. It is abnormal for others. I seek to normalize my personal lived experiences for others by telling stories. CB Original is a multimedia company, a Tulsa-based company where loving yourself, loving your culture, being inspired and inspiring others is a priority. Now, in order to ensure that this priority is met, we will educate, inform, and entertain a Black audience on many different subjects. CB Original fills gaps in representation that is missing in multiple sectors of Black people's circumstances. We will intentionally tell stories about the Black experience that to date have been untold. Stories matter. Well-represented stories matter more. 58,254. That is the number of Black people in Tulsa, 708. That is the number of Black people in Ada. 287,414 is the number of Black people in Oklahoma. There is a market here for CB Original to thrive, for Black people to learn about themselves, to see themselves in stories, and eventually have a deeper love for themselves. Our target audience is anyone who identifies as Black from the ages 2 to 70, and they are seeking to have representation, validation, appreciation, and celebration. Their culture is important to them, or they may not have all the answers when it comes to their Black heritage. CB Original will meet both of those needs. So thinking about the market that CB Original wants to occupy, there are other companies that exist, and they are receiving national and international attention and following. However, they are in the periphery of what CB Original is doing. CB Original, again, plans to fill the gaps that other companies aren't exactly filling right now. With the use of books, photography, coaching and tutoring services, creative directing, photojournalism, and digital media, we will fill the gaps that are missing in the market. We will tell and curate stories that have not been told. CB Original seeks to be a breathing and a living company that caters to and responds to our target audience. We will be a safe space so the stories that are told matter. CB Original is led by a Black entrepreneur, and this first-hand experience will create the space for the company to evolve and fluctuate, ebb and flow as the target audience changes as well. And as a result, these lived experiences will validate CB Original and give it cultural competencies that other companies lack. So speaking of books, we did that, and a Black History children's activity book will be hitting the market very soon. There are activities that educate and inform the reader about Black history while also entertaining. Children are the future, and history is a great way to gain perspective and inform our audiences. So now, in addition to this project, I have about 2 other projects in the pipeline. So this topic has been circulating on social media for about a year now. And since CB Original responds to target audiences, our target audience, so that we can curate stories that not only have not been told, but stories that people want. The first project is a photography project about Black women living in luxury. There will be photos featuring luxurious looking Black women in various backgrounds. CB Original also caters to our audience to produce stories that, yes, have not been told, and yes, stories that people want, but also stories that are needed. Our second project in our funnel is a photojournalism project that seeks to document the aftermath of the Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commemoration. The injustifiable travesty happened in 1921. Now in 2021, the 100th year was brought on with hundreds of visitors and a lot of media attention. That commemoration has come and gone. Greenwood is still here, the trauma is still here, and the story is still here. We plan on telling that story. The stories that we hear matter. Well-represented stories matter more. Thinking about specific groups in our target audience, we offer a unique value to single mothers. Single moms have many responsibilities and roles, and some may struggle to fulfill all of their duties. We would like to partner with these moms and offer some relief. CB Original wants single mothers to feel seen, heard, represented, and loved. Now, children hear stories all of the time. It's important to us that the stories children hear matter. They are a group within our target audience as well. Without well-represented stories, children do not see themselves represented. This can cause self-esteem issues and an inferiority complex. The reason why this is important is because children obsess over characters in books and movies, TV shows, and video games. So if they are not seeing themselves, they are told that they don't matter, their experiences are invalidated, and they are not important. CB Original provides a lived experience for children that educates and informs and celebrates Black excellence. Our book is a perfect example of that. We Did That will provide exactly what children need. CB Original's goal is to bridge gaps in representation that is missing in multiple sectors of Black people's circumstances. Our book, We Did That, bridges a gap that schools or mothers may not be filling right now. Children can learn about Black history through activities, and it doesn't feel like homework since the activity book is very engaging, and more importantly, it's representation. Stories matter, well-represented stories matter more. I love myself because I know myself. I found power in stories. I found myself in stories because well-represented stories matter. And it's why I'm here today. It is my mission, no, it is my purpose to make sure that what was normal for me becomes the norm for others. When Black people feel loved, seen, heard, it benefits the community. Black people are extremely influential. And so when Black people feel loved, they are more productive. We think CB Original was going to make a huge impact at the community. Now here at CB Original, we believe everyone who partners with us is now part of the family. I am an only child, so the more siblings, the more cousins, nieces, nephews, uncles, aunties, grandmothers, the better. Become a part of our family. If you liked what you've seen here today, please follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to see the release date for We Did That and more. I would also ask if you guys can share the stories that we tell at CB Original. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Charity. Quick virtual round of applause and thank you so much. This was great. I'm going to open it up to Amy and Jim Lawson to ask questions as our judges. So,
Okay.
Hi, Charity. As you're looking at getting your stories to market, do you know what your startup costs, what money that you're going to need to get this moving?
Yes, I do. I will need about $1,000. The goal is to have sort of a pre-sale, which most books do. I'm self-publishing, and so to have a pre-sale for the books, and so I would advertise on my social media platforms. And in order to order those books, once I've sent them off to the publisher, they will cost about $500, and then after that will be the money needed to ship out the books. I have already bought like a lot of the packaging and a lot of sort of like my business cards and what CB Original is about that will go inside of each package. And then outside of that initial $500, I will need more money to buy the like product or the product needed to create the labels for the shipping labels to send them out, as well as a little more packaging, kind of depending on how many pre-sales I get. You know, if I get more, then I'll need to buy more packaging.
It's a great presentation, Charity. I enjoyed it. Can you tell us where your revenue stream is going to come from?
My revenue stream is funded from me as the founder and the owner. And so my job that I have, in addition to selling books, I also have t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now. So I have sold a couple t-shirts. I have a couple packages that need to be sent out shortly. And other than that, those are the two streams currently.
Charity, I love the planned books that you have already. Do you see, once you get those 3 that you specifically identified, to market, do you have a plan for pulling in additional stories? Where are you going from there?
Yes, I I have so many ideas as far as books are concerned and children's books are concerned. In addition to, I guess, writing like nonfiction books, there can also be fiction books tied to, the idea of "we did that," which is a term that's said quite frequently in my culture, like you did that, which just means like you did a good job, or that's that was something that we need to see more of. And so there'll be definitely some more books kind of tied into the idea of you're doing a good job. And especially with the characters that you can see from the cover of the book. We have the chef, there's an astronaut, there's an author, an artist, and there are more characters introduced in the book as well, more professions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Charity, the online platforms is a crowded field to be getting into. How are you going to identify yourself and differentiate yourself from others?
That is a great question. Firstly, I'm in grad school. My undergrad degree was in communications, and I've taken several at the University of Tulsa. And so I've taken several advertising classes and marketing classes that kind of coincide with my degree. And so with that, I've learned the market. I know exactly what it takes to be on the market. I know exactly what it takes to thrive on the market. And now pursuing my post-grad or post-undergrad degree, I'm in grad school for mass communications, which includes more social media and journalism. However, my graduate certificate is in brand communication, which is all about making a brand and branding yourself. And so in addition to these classes and me getting degrees and essentially what I'm striving to do, I have also taken online courses. I seek to educate myself to better understand the market and to inform CB, to inform myself, which will then, kind of take on a life of its own as CB Original grows with my new knowledge. So that way I can differentiate myself just because I know the market now and I know exactly how I should appeal. I know that video is viewed 44 times more likely than just pictures alone. I know that pictures, when coupled with words that move, also get more view time on social media. I just know all of these tricks of the trade that other companies lack. Not only that, I have a good story. I have a great story. People want stories. People want to see themselves. People want to be represented, and people also want to be entertained. There is definitely a niche and a need for my company.
All right, thank you very much. I don't think I have anything else.
Okay.
Charity, I don't have anything else. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Well, Charity, thank you so much. And we really appreciate you rounding us up on the idea stage or track of all of our pitches. So again, appreciate Crystal for getting out there and giving us your best pitch. If sounds good to everyone, let's go ahead and move on to the revenue generating category. And this is something that we're always really excited to see with companies that are able to, currently be in business and currently generate a little bit of revenue. And so a little bit of a different change of pace, but while I see your video up, I think we're going to go ahead and feature, let's see, how do we want to do this exactly? Kelly, do you want to go ahead and be our first revenue generating pitch? Oh, you might be muted still.
I said, sure, why not? So can y'all hear me okay? Am I buffering or anything like that?
You sound
Before I
good.
get started? Okay. Jim, I'm actually having to do this from my phone instead of my PC.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to share it. It might slow my presentation down. So I sent you the link if you want to do the presentation. And while he pulls that up, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and put my crown robe on.
All right, let me go ahead and share the screen and then we should be good to go.
Okay. So hello, guys. My name is Kelly Brown, and I am the CEO and founder of Crown Road. Can y'all hear me okay? Can you slide it over? And then I will speak as you, okay, perfect. So Crown Roads offers a luxurious twist in an everyday necessity. Sorry, guys. Oh. Can you slide it over as I'm talking? Yeah, there you go. So the one-of-a-kind Crown robe offers the plush experience of a warm spa robe with the practical application of a super absorbent crown hair wrap. Next. Did you know that 99% of ladies use a big bulky towel to dry their hair? And it's just completely unnecessary. Studies have shown that towels are proven to cause headaches, cause unnecessary hair loss, and put strain on the neck. Okay, can you scroll? Yes, and then next. So it's really time to toss those towels. Can you scroll? Perfect. Crown robes can easily transform daily routines to your, I don't know what it says. I should have this memorized, but I don't. Here, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. Can I start over?
Sure.
Okay. So Crown Robes offers a luxurious twist to an everyday necessity. The one-of-a-kind Crown Robe offers the plush experience of a warm spa robe with a practical application of a super absorbent crown hair wrap. Did you know that 99% of ladies use a big bulky towel to dry their hair off, and it's just completely unnecessary? Studies have proven that these towels can cause unnecessary hair loss, can cause headaches, and cause neck strain. It's just time to toss those towels. I found the perfect solution. Crown robes can transform daily routines into your queendom or kingdom of daily quality spa care. And baby crown robes are perfect for the little queens and kings. Crown robe drastically reduces hair drying time while avoiding critical hair damaging practices. And quality and care are the attributes of the Royal Crown Robe, which can be found in every robing experience we offer. Establish your queendom or kingdom with a crown robe. In 2018, I raised $23,000 on Kickstarter. In 2019, I sold $125,000 by website, Etsy, and doing shows. In 2021, as of right now, I have about 300 crown robes in inventory, and I have several interest from spas and dispensaries actually here in Oklahoma. The big picture is I'm looking for $250,000 that will require, that will help me get a new website, a marketing team. There's no doubt that crown robes, the bathrobe is a huge industry. So there's no doubt that the market is huge. But for the $1,000, I would be honored. I would love to put it towards my advertising on Facebook and Instagram to be able to push my inventory that I have. So that's it, guys. I don't have a long presentation. I have this amazing product, and I would love to answer any questions you may have. Yeah, thank you.
All right, and thanks, Kelly. I know you were trying to get the right technical issues to line up. So let's give Kelly a virtual round of applause. Thank you very much. All right, judges, I will hand it over. And Kelly, I might leave this up in case you need me to move back and forth to a slide.
Sure. Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for your presentation. One of the questions that I have is who are your biggest competitors for this?
Well, this is one of a kind. And so right now, I really don't have any competitors. You know, I've got the bathrobe and then the twisty turvy that you might be familiar with.
Mhm.
But I don't have there's nothing on the market that is like this. This is one of a kind. I have a patent on it. And yes, it's one of a kind. So I really don't have any competitors.
Who are your clients right now? Are you selling to major hotels, or where's your revenue coming from?
So my revenue right now is coming from Etsy and my website and just selling them, from me to consumer. But yes, the big picture is getting them into spas, hotels, all over, because they eliminate towels. You know, it's a green product. You're going to save on laundry, you're going to save on towels, and you're going to save on water at the end of the day. So it needs to be in every hotel and every spa.
Kelly, who have you identified as your target customer?
You believe it or not, the baby robes have sold the fastest and the quickest. But I have a target, I have, a range from baby to extra large. And so I do sell everything in between too. My market is everybody that wears a bathrobe. And that's a lot of people, not to mention it's male and female. There's men that wear my turbans too.
I think you went by it pretty quickly whenever you're doing your initial presentation. Where are you currently on an annual basis for sales and profit?
It's really slow right now. I'm just selling off of my Etsy and off my website, and I only have about 250 robes left in inventory. So I'm really just focused on the big picture and getting my next market done. But that's about it as far as that goes. I'm just really pushing the last set of inventory that I have. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that I have any other particular questions, Amy.
Kelly, I don't. I really do appreciate you taking the time to present. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And I know it's always difficult when your technology doesn't do what you want it to do. We've all been there, so we feel your pain on that. So well done.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Kelly, for being our leadoff presenter for the revenue generating category. We are moving things right along a little ahead of schedule. So Dr. Christine Pappas, if you're ready, we'd love to feature your pitch. Give you just a sec to turn your video on and get ready.
Okay, Jim, is that showing?
Yeah, I can see it just fine and we can hear you. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so the name of our pitch is Community Impact Glass Recycling. And our team members are all affiliated with ECU in the Water Resource Policy Management Master's degree. We have student Joseph Harris. We have another student, Brian Bahati Oanga, and myself, Dr. Christine Pappas. And we are excited to share our vision for ADA glass recycling with you.
So our problems are there are two. The first one is the large amount of glass that are in the landfills. And the second one is the global sand shortage. And after that, our solution, the first one is going to be offer curbside pickups for our consumer glass. The second one is offer collection point where people can drop off their bottle glass or glasses they have. And then the third one is a crushed glass and use it to manufacture or make pavers like what you are seeing over there. This is a paver turtle, and we have so much of them in stock for you whenever you want it.
So we have a couple different prongs to our business model. We plan to solicit residential customers for paid weekly glass pickup. We'd like to solicit commercial customers for paid daily or weekly glass pickup. Install polycarts or dumpsters for people to drop off their glass in the Ada community, and then grind glass into sand using a glass grinder. And I know many of you have heard about that idea in the past. And then we're going to sell that sand, and we're going to sell products made from the sand to defray the costs of running the recycling program.
And our budget per year, like an ABS, we have the rent space for like a $12,000, equipment at $10,000, inventory at $1,000, a labor contract, which is $25,000, but we look to shorten that with some of us will volunteer for the start, and we have insurance of $5,000 and legal fee of $2,000, totaling to about $55,000 per year.
And we thought about purchasing or leasing a truck or a way that we would actually own some of the equipment that we would need, but we decided to try to enter into a contract with local refuse companies, people who are already going around and picking things up like trash or recycling, and hoping to pay them to do that aspect of it to defray some of our costs, and because that's not exactly our expertise. So our total budget for a year is $55,000. And we think we can meet that budget through subscription residential pickup. If we had 100 clients and they each paid $240 a year. If we had commercial pickup for 20 clients with $600 a year, and looking at some of the establishments in Ada that use a lot of glass bottles, we think that's very realistic. And then the sale of our sand and pavers, $19,000 a year to make up the difference. We're already selling our pavers for $10 per stone. And you saw the turtle. We have a lot of people who have already placed orders for our pavers and other yard stones. And then we also have a number of people that are interested in purchasing the glass sand for construction projects. So we think that there's going to be a market just to sell that glass sand. And that's super beneficial because it's preventing additional sand mining by replacing that with a renewable resource. In our last glass collection, we also did a survey of the market, and we found that whereas most of our consumers would prefer to have a free glass drop-off in Ada, there were 4 who would pay between $10 and $20 a month for the service. So we feel that if we have a mix of paid customers, we could defray the cost of providing that public service to the community of Ada. So in the last year, as we've launched this project, over 50 families have brought glass to our project, and one local bar, Slushed on Main Street, has recycled all of the glass that they used since July of 2021. And that's the glass that we're turning into these pavers and the glass sand for construction projects.
Going forward, we plan to market this plan of ours through Facebook, the Ada News, through word of mouth, and Ada Chamber of Commerce. And lastly, we're planning to approach big glass consumers. And the team, we have Dr. Christine Papas here with me, Brian Bahati, and one of us who was not able to come, Mr. Joseph Harris, who's our CEO.
So we'll know that we're succeeding as we look at these various milestones. In 1 month, we want to have this collection site for consumer glass available to all people in Ada. We want to make sure that we have correct space and capacity needs, because right now we're operating out of East Central University, and we're using the glass grinder that was purchased through a grant through the Ada Sunrise Rotary Club, also with support of the Oak Institute. We also are using a lot of donated supplies such as polycarts, and we also are using donated cement from Wholesome. So we have a lot of good community partners, but we can't count on that going forward. So we're going to have to find a way to become more independent and sustainable. After a year, we want to provide every single person in Ada the ability to recycle their consumer glass. And we want to turn that glass into glass sand to be used for making these pavers and into major construction projects. And in 2 years, we want to keep every single glass bottle out of Ada's landfills. So that'll save money for the city and for the companies that are managing the landfills.
Well, we are aware that every business should be ethical and also should also allow a bit of environmental sustainability and friendly. And together we can say that our project, apart from income generating, also trying to protect the environment. Number one, we are keeping glass out of the landfills. And the second thing, we're providing a solution to global sand shortage. And together it's much of a watershed management.
And thank you for listening to our presentation today. And we look forward to receiving your glass bottles in the near future.
All right, thank you all so much. Could we get a virtual round of applause for Ada Glass or Community Impact Glass Recycling? Thanks, guys. I'm going to hand it over to Amy and Jim Lawson to do the judging Q&A.
Thank you so much for your presentation. That was wonderful. One of the questions that I have is, you mentioned that out of the 50 people that, what was it, 25 people that you surveyed, 4 were willing to pay that $10 to $20 per month. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to phrase this. Do you feel like that your survey market was it essential students? Was it done someplace else? Do you feel like that percentage translates to the larger Ada market on what you have for that revenue model?
I would agree that those are super users, because those are people who come to our last glass recycling event at the farmers market about 2 weeks ago. And of the 24 that filled out a survey, 17 had recycled glass, quote unquote, longer than they could remember. So these are people that were really into it, okay? And the fact that only a quarter of those people would pay, like they care about it, but they maybe can't pay or don't want to pay. I think that there are some people that would help support the project for the good goal of keeping that glass, reusing it and being a part of the solution. I understand not being able to pay or not wanting to pay for that service, which is why, even though we're not going to make any money off of it, we do want to have a drop-off spot where anyone can bring their glass bottles, because we do care about the goal of keeping the glass out of the landfill. If you crush the bottle, it's 800% smaller than if you just put it into the landfill hole. Plus, we can take that glass sand and turn it into beneficial use projects. So, yeah, it was an odd sample, but it was the users of this particular product. They were all people who were at that moment recycling glass.
Okay, thank you.
Do we currently have any kind of recycling of glass in town other than you guys?
No.
Okay, so what happened to that market? Because years ago they did recycle glass on a fairly large scale, and I'm wondering what's different now.
Well, part of that glass was being remade into baby food jars, as I understand, and so it was actually being collected for commercial purposes. But I've been in Ada for 20 years and there has not been glass recycling here. So since it's been 20 years since that's been a factor. There are other cities that do collect glass and they do use it for commercial purposes and reform it into new bottles and such. So this is more of a down cycle than a recycle, because we're taking glass sand and turning it into concrete with that good Portland cement from Wholesome.
Yes, I agree with that idea, and I'm all about the recycling game. So on your revenue side, how have you done all the work or math or whatever you want to call it to determine what your profitability is after you have all of this collection and all of this equipment to turn it back into sand?
I would say that we're in the pilot stage now, and so all of our, we're using ECU space, we're using the grinder that's owned by Ada Sunrise Rotary, the sand is free. The only thing we've purchased is the molds for the concrete shapes, yeah, the casts and the molds. So we understand that if this is going to be a viable revenue generating business, we're going to need to get out of the get out of our parents' basement here and become a big grown-up and go out and find our own space, which we'll rent, and then contract for the things that we're getting for free right now.
Yeah. labor. Labor is still free now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do you have a marketing plan for the products, for the pavers and your different revenue streams?
Not specifically. We have taken them with us when we do glass recycling events and shown people the pavers, and we've taken orders from there. And so people see the turtles and they order 10 turtles right there. So like, just knowing about the product seems to be a very easy way to sell it. And people like with the robes, with the idea of an Etsy presence, that people have suggested that to us as well. I don't relish the idea of mailing concrete all over the place. So I think we want to try to keep local to reduce our carbon footprint even more, because I think there's a large market. ECU is just, they want all the pavers we can give them because they're going to incorporate them in landscaping. We're not going to sell them, but they are useful and they're durable and they're lightweight, and people are very happy to be using a product that's reusable.
I think you helped answer that question, and that is, how big do you think this can get?
You want to take that one?
Yeah, I think it can be as big as maybe a state thing, or maybe different states, because actually we are trying to look at the end-term project, which is keeping glass out of the landfills, and people who are environmentally conscious, I think, will buy into the idea and they'll support us. I know there are people outside here, just a matter of time before they see this, and I believe it will be big.
I think any community could do it. And in fact, there's a lot of people that have reached out to us and say, why am I not doing this in my community? And I'm like, yeah, why aren't you? Because as long as you have the grinder, everything else is free. So the grinder, right, as people might remember, we bought the grinder with Ada Sunrise Rotary. It was about $8,000. And to be frank, we're probably gonna need a bigger one if we go bigger with this project, because it's a kind of a bottleneck of the assembly line, the time it takes to grind the bottles.
Right, I'm sure that a $8,000 grinder is not terribly large, and right, and the throughput is not terribly large, right? Well, I don't think I have any more questions. I do like this project.
I do. I have one more. And I'm not even sure that there's an answer to this. How are you balancing the retail, the business side with the community impact and the partnership development, and really the giving it away side of the business? How are you looking at finding that balance to turning this into a profitable business?
That's a really good question, because a lot of our partners, they've been generous with us in giving us cement, for example, and polycarts, and we've been generous as well by taking glass for free. And frankly, I don't know that when we go to our partners and say, hey, now we want to start charging you for this thing that you've enjoyed for the last year. And I think some people can pay a small fee for us to continue taking the glass, or we'll pay for the pavers that we're going to give those pavers to ECU. Like, ECU probably wouldn't buy them from us, but we're trying to be a good partner to them since they were to us. So that is going to be a hurdle, because we will be trying to turn this from a more charitable, just a community activity, into more of a revenue generating business. And our partner, Joseph Harris, who owns Impact, he does porta potties. Like, he and his connections have really helped us grow what we ever thought was possible. So he's already brought us forward so far, and his business acumen has really helped a lot in developing this project.
Thank you both so much. I'm fascinated by the entire project, so I appreciate you taking the time and explaining more about what you're doing.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. we are going to enter in, the judges are going to deliberate for just a little bit. So I'm going to ship them into a breakout room. And then if you give me just a second, we will have a poll ready for the People's Choice Award. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. So Daniel, do you think you could handle getting the judges? Would you go with the judges into a breakout room? Okay, we'll be on it here in just a sec. And let me get this poll ready to go. Give me just a sec here. All right, and feel free to jump in while the judges are away scoring real quick. What did you guys think about the event this year? Are you guys fired up? Cool.
Sorry, Jim. This was a great event. Thank you so much for hosting this again this year.
Okay, give me just a sec and let me see if I can get the judges in there. All right. Apologies on that. We're handling a couple things all at once. So I think the judges should be off in the room with Daniel to deliberate on scoring. So give me just a second here. All right. Okay, with any luck, this should go to a poll and you can vote on the People's Choice Award. So we'll have that up and running for just a second. And feel free to join in. we've got a few minutes to kind of go through everything. Do you guys have any questions? I believe have all the entrepreneurs on the line. So if you guys are comfortable asking some questions, we can do a few just kind of general, meet and greet style questions or questions from the audience. Well, while we're hanging out, Charity, this was your first pitch event with the Ada Jobs Foundation. Tell us about what it was like to put your pitch deck together, and did you learn anything for this process? Anything new?
Yes, this is my first time giving a pitch, not only with this organization, but ever. So this was a great first time. I really appreciate everyone who did come out to support us, just like Kelly said. So thank you, and thank you for having me. I learned quite a lot. I Googled how to do a slide deck, which was the first, I redid my slide deck like 3 times, y'all. So the first time I submitted my slide deck, and there were about 8 slides, maybe 10. As I'm working on my pitch and I'm finalizing it, I also, my uncle who's on, he listened to me pitch. I pitched to him. And so we kind of worked through my slide deck and how I can make it less cluttered, and then what slide decks weren't well organized, and it didn't quite help me to portray any of my thoughts or my ideas. And so after I met with him, I created another slide deck. And then once I finished my pitch and I had exactly what I wanted, I then created a third slide deck. With it kind of went longer, and I realized that I had a dead space. I don't know how to describe it, but I was on one slide for quite a long time during my kind of like layout of it. So I had to add in another slide so that way to keep, everyone engaged. It is virtual. So yeah, I had 3 versions of my slide deck. And what I've learned, I think I've learned to write my pitch first. Instead of using my business plan, my business model to create a pitch, if that makes sense. That's what I did. I used my template. And so I think working backwards and kind of adding in my business plan here and there would have worked better, because that's essentially what I did the 3rd time around anyway.
That is some golden advice, and something I wish I had started with years ago. So thank you for sharing that. Dr. Pappas, I know that this is your 2nd time going through the big pitch process. Could you tell us a little bit about how you and your team put your pitch deck together and what this process was like for the 2nd time around?
Well, I worked with Dia last time around, and I had no idea anything what I was doing at all. So she was very, very helpful, helping me get my act together. And I would agree with Charity that just kind of streamlining it and like really getting down to the framework of what you're saying is the most important thing, and not trying to elaborate too much about one thing. Just really see it as an outsider can understand what you're trying to say. So that helped a lot. And as a matter of fact, I just started with the presentation that I'd done last time for this one, because it was just so to the point, and that's how we came up with it. So, but really just incorporating all the new ideas has been really exciting, and kind of like keeping track of all the stuff we've been able to accomplish.
Well, and I think one thing I noticed on this that I thought was really cool is you came to us a couple of years ago with an idea and just this sort of concept for, I think, that the first phase of this, right? With the kind of the grinding and all that. And now you're coming back and you guys are actually able to, get contracts and generate some revenue. Do you think that's changed your perspective on the value of a pitch and the value of, this kind of process?
Well, I remember talking to Dia, and I remember her saying, well, what if someone steals your idea and just does it? And I'm like, great, I want to get these bottles recycled. So go ahead and do that. That's fine. But now I realize that we can't reach the goals that we have if we don't have the money that we could get. So why leave money on the table if people are willing to pay us for the paving stones and the service of recycling? We can use that to continue the projects. And it's not a matter of like being greedy. It's a matter of just being able to sustain this important goal that we have.
Very cool. Very cool. And Kelly, I know this was somewhat of a new process for you as well. And I appreciate you jumping through the technical hurdles, staying on point, even though we were all over the place and trying to coordinate between the 2 of us. What's this process been like to do our virtual pitch competition this year, and what have you learned? And we may have some a few internet issues. It looks like he might be slowing down just a little bit.
Well, I think you could always learn something. I love just being around. Okay.
Okay, let's try this again. Give it another shot real quick. All right, it looks like we might be a little off here. So Kelly, I'm going to go ahead and mute you real quick. Yeah, so sorry about that. We'll see if we can come back to Kelly. Crystal, are you still with us? And jump on.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I
Okay.
can turn on my video.
Well, good. Hey, so you have just gone through the Startup Ada boot camp.
Yes.
You've had a lot of, I know we've worked a lot together over the last few weeks, and you've done a lot of work on your pitch. I know even over the last few days.
Thank you.
What have you learned about this pitch approach and putting a pitch together that you didn't know a few weeks ago?
I think the biggest thing for me, I love the idea and I was passionate about the idea, but I kept getting lost in the weeds anytime I tried to explain it to anybody. There were so many possibilities of what I wanted it to be that I would shoot off into all directions anytime I tried to explain what my idea was. And going through the big pitch, not the big pitch, the startup boot camp, there were a lot of exercises about how to pare it down and laser focus on it and hit the hot spots, right? And that was so instrumental, not just for the big pitch, but for me, for clarifying what exactly my goals were and to create almost like a phases process of how I wanted it to grow and develop. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to check in with our judges and keep this conversation going and wearing 5 hats and keeping 3 others spinning. So appreciate your patience on this. And here's something we're trying to put together as we continue to do events and as we continue to try to feature entrepreneurship is we're really thinking about doing, events a little bit more often. So we do a monthly community entrepreneurship hour that features, pitches, not just from local entrepreneurs, but we have the ability to feature people in other entrepreneurial geographies and ecosystems. We have the opportunity to feature speakers that may have an interesting service or just an interesting idea that could generally help entrepreneurship. Open feedback here, but what would you guys like to see over the next year? What kinds of speakers, what kinds of events will be valuable to you? I mean, we know that you came here with an interest in entrepreneurship and we love that and we're appreciative, but we're here to serve the Ada community and to serve this region. So any thoughts on what you guys would want to see or what would be, important or valuable to you all?
Jim, I've always liked the events where you're seeking ideas and you're just kind of looking for the next thing for Ada. And I think that's always fun, whether it's write it on a Post-it note and stick it on the wall or talk it over. I think that's just such an exciting thing to do, to just brainstorm as a group how we can further economic activity in Ada.
And boy, do we have stuff coming up for you. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But one thing we're really excited about is we're trying to take a very innovative process for kind of public engagement on economic development, on projects that we partner with the city of Ada. So we're always going to be looking for ideas and partnerships for this sort of a thing. So look out for some news right after the new year. I think we're going to have a few events coming up in the first quarter of 2022 that will speak directly to that. But yeah, we're always trying to find best practices. We're always trying to do things that make that kind of impact. So other ideas on what you guys want to see? Do you want to see more pitches from local entrepreneurs? Do you want to see more information about services? Do you want to hear about new technologies? What's exciting to you all?
For as long as I've lived in Ada, the idea of having so much entrepreneurial help at my fingertips is amazing. And I almost don't know where to start. I'm so new to it. This was my first startup boot camp, my first pitch ever. It's thrilling and a little overwhelming, and I just want to soak it all in.
Well, we can keep featuring information about things that can support entrepreneurship. We can keep featuring talks from some of our partners that are here. And some of our sponsors for this event, I know, are very invested in the success of entrepreneurs in our region. So it's more than easy enough for us to reach out and let them tell you and about what they do and walk through some of their services. So very easy for us to feature. And again, we're here to help you guys. And if that creates an impact, then all the better. So
I have something.
yeah,
I am not an Ada resident, but I think it'd be really cool to attend Ada networking events, so that way I can meet some of the local entrepreneurs that you have within your collective or within your company, that you provide the mentorships and the HERD boot camps. I think it would be nice to have a space that's informal, to sort of interact and then connect with local entrepreneurs. That way, I'm a media company, we have some recycling. So like there are different ways in which we can connect with one another and help promote each other's businesses and just collaborate.
I love that. And I know we're big fans of what the Tulsa community and ecosystems built over the last few years. And I think just to see all the new programs and initiatives, we're huge fans of entrepreneurship work in the Tulsa area. Maybe there's that possibility where we could create a little bit of this kind of, networking, or, even something where there's some of these maybe, cross-community collaborations, especially for our entrepreneurs to really get together. And I think today was a great example. We were able to pull in some people outside of our city boundaries, and I think feature some new pitches and some new folks. So I think that's great. That's maybe something we could put our heads together and think about with. But we have friends in Tulsa, and surely there's got to be a way to bring this together, right? Just curious, would you want to do it, assuming everything is safe and good to go, would you prefer in person, or would you prefer virtual, or what's the easiest for you for these kinds of networking opportunities?
I prefer in person. There are several co-working spaces in Tulsa that are quite large. There are even some that have some outdoor spaces with like heaters if we wanted to be super conscientious. However, if we were to do a virtual space, we can have different, what are those things called? Breakout rooms, where there are different kind of topics. So you can choose which breakout room you want to go to based on the topic that we want and that we like. And then eventually we come back to a space like this, and then we can choose again. So we can do that 3 different ways. We can even have a themed virtual networking night where we're representing our, I don't know, like our favorite high school team or our favorite like college, any team. So that way, one, it's a great opening and a great kind of connector. I think everyone in Oklahoma enjoys football, so it's gonna be a great way to connect.
I'm just imagining one day we will charter buses that will drive all over the state, and we'll pick people up from Tulsa and bring them down, or we'll all hop on a bus, right? Like, who knows? But I love this idea of other communities working together, and I think in Ada we're very very much part of the state network and very excited about the opportunity to support other communities and what we're doing. I think one really exciting thing is, I'll go ahead and plug this since we are still waiting for the judges to deliberate. We're part of a network called the Rural Innovation Network, which is run by a nationwide group called the Center on Rural Innovation. And so we're only one of about 25 rural communities that are part of this Rural Innovation Network, but that's allowed us some peer communities in some other cities that we've been able to feature at our Community Entrepreneurship Hour, including Springfield, Vermont. We're working on trying to do a feature on Taos, New Mexico, and really talk about their ecosystem and some of the things they deal with day to day, which I think there's a lot for us to learn about. So you might see some things come up in partnership with the Center on Rural Innovation. But that's something we think is really cool and really, really exciting. They've done a portrait of the community for ADA's entrepreneurs and technologists and tech workers that you can access on the Center on Rural Innovation's website, and we can drop a link to that. And there's also going to be a little bit of work that we go through on, oh, okay, we had the judges' deliberations. And before we go too far forward, I see something in the chat from Kelly Gutierrez asking about opportunities for people with disabilities to become involved with entrepreneurship in ADA. I'd say yes. One thing we're doing is we're making all of our events, either virtual or hybrid. So we're giving people a lot of different options to participate based on what's most convenient to you. If meeting in person doesn't work for a variety of reasons, or the way that we have things arranged in person, we can meet virtual. If there's some problem virtual with your technology or ability to access the internet, we're providing opportunities to meet using technology and things in our office. So, but we're open to ideas. We want to make this local entrepreneurship activities and ecosystems accessible to everyone. And so just please shoot us a line and tell us what you think. We have the judges still stuck in the breakout room, and that room is closing in 50 seconds. So we're going to add a bunch of extra suspense. I've got 50 more seconds to provide one more plug one more thing before we get going and let our sponsor step up. But again, we appreciate everyone really being here. We're also the recipient of a program from the Economic Development Administration called the Build to Scale Grant. That is going to allow us to create programming and an accelerator program for technology-based startups in ADA over the next 3 years. While we are going to locate a lot of these programs primarily in ADA, we really plan to reach out to the Southern Oklahoma region. So everything from Norman, Purcell, Pauls Valley, Ardmore, Sulphur, Davis, Tishomingo, you name it. If they're in this region, we absolutely want to feature them. So this is going to include regular events that feature our technology ecosystem. We're going to be creating regular media and including media about Chickasaw entrepreneurs and technology companies. And we hope to carry out a technology accelerator each year, which will create new opportunities for mentorship, for instruction. And then finally, we're going to be doing a lot of local investor outreach to angel investors and others that could be part of this technology startup ecosystem. So keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. Again, we're just trying to build on everything we're doing here and do something that's really going to hopefully take our region to a whole nother level. So, okay, with that, we are going to launch into the award ceremony part of our pitch event. So again, appreciate all the contestants. We appreciate the judges coming through. And we have sponsors that are helping us carry out the awards for each of these events. So we're going to start with the Idea Stage companies, and I'm going to announce our runner-up award. And this award is being delivered by, or is being sponsored by First United Bank. They have a location here in Ada, and they really are a community bank and have helped us immensely over the years with everything we're doing. I don't think anyone here is from First United Bank, but we very much appreciate their sponsorship and their award. So with that, the runner-up award for the Idea Stage CB Original. Charity, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, wonderful. All right, and so for the first place award in the idea stage category, you can probably do the math and look at this. But this award is sponsored by Rural Enterprises of Oklahoma, and Scott DeWald. I don't know if you are on the call or not.
Yes, sir.
Scott, would you like to talk just real briefly about what you and REI do?
We're getting ready to celebrate our 40th year of doing entrepreneurial work in Oklahoma, everything from small business lending to housing programs to business development practices. We have a women's business center, a minority business center, a Native American business center. We have offices headquartered in Durant. We also have offices in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Alva, and then anywhere the vehicles will take us. We have a staff of 40. We're a private nonprofit economic development firm governed by a board of directors who are all volunteers. And I just want to congratulate Jim, you, and everything you guys are doing in Ada. I continually point to your program and say we need more of this throughout our state. And so I brag on you all I can, because I think you're doing the right thing. You're actually where the rubber meets the road. And as much as we want to support entrepreneurship, the best way for us to do that and get local is through you. So congratulations. The presentations today were really, really great. The only other thing I would add is one thing I really enjoy doing is watching as many pitches as I can. I know that Stitch Crew in Oklahoma City has pitches tonight at 5:30. You might want to tap into like 36 Degrees North in Tulsa when they have their pitches, and just watch them and learn from them and see what resonates with me and what should I do in my presentations. Some get really highly complicated and over your head. Others are fairly basic and simple. And I think there's a nice middle of the road. So congratulations, Jim. You guys are doing great work.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. And we really value REI as a partner. Really appreciate all the REI support. And to all of our entrepreneurs out here, we can absolutely connect you with REI. They do a ton of cool stuff. They have a ton of opportunities, and they're one of those great resource providers we have in our own backyard. So love that they're part of this. So I am very pleased to announce and so thrilled to see how this has come together. But Krista Russell, you are our first place winner in the idea stage category. All right.
Thank you so much.
You
Thank
can't hear us
so
all
much.
clapping, but we're thrilled. And thrilled for both of you in Charity. You guys had excellent pitches, and thrilled you could be a part of this. So I am now going to shift gears to the revenue generating category and announcing the runner-up. And this award is sponsored by Pontotoc Technology Center. Jim Lawson, I don't know if you want to say a couple words about PTC, but you've been wonderful as a judge today, and love for you to plug PTC for a second if you could.
Sure thing. So Pontotoc Technology Center is here for the community pays for it. You pay it in your taxes. We offer classes day and night. We primarily do high school students, 11th and 12th grade, to teach them careers and skills, but we have a large amount of adult training. You can always go to our website at pontotoctech.edu and look at our evening courses and day courses, business development courses. We also have the PTC Fab Lab, which is a 3D printing and CNC lab. So that's available for a membership. You basically buy it like a gym membership. We've got 5 printers and 2 CNC machines. So a lot of things can be done, and we teach you how to do that and teach you how to do your design work and that kind of thing as well. So think about PTC and appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this.
And again, I don't think there's anything we do without PTC in this community. And I think they've been a wonderful partner especially for our entrepreneurs. The Fab Lab in particular has allowed one of the past participants in this program to prototype and build his business, which is now Breathify USA, which is a 3D printed air purification company. We're currently incubating them in their office, but they started right there at PTC out of the Fab Lab. So one of our great success stories. So with that, I'm going to get on to the award. Coming in for the runner-up award for the revenue generating category in the big pitch is, hold on, let me make sure that I got this right. Okay, community impact glass recycling. Congratulations to you guys. All right, and again, digital clapping, not quite as impactful as the real thing, but so happy to see you guys back and win this award. Okay, and our gold sponsor for our first place award for the revenue generating category is Legalshield here in Ada. And Jeannie, I see that you're on the line, and I wondered if you might be able to say a few words about Legalshield.
Yeah, so I just want to remind everybody, with this being a focus on entrepreneurship, Legalshield's a 50-year-old entrepreneurial company. So your entrepreneurial dream should go very far. We have offices across Oklahoma, Denver, New York, Quebec. We have sales force across all of the United States and Canada, looking at other countries as well. And that was just a dream of a man from Pontotoc County who had a car accident and figured all of this out. So if you don't know much about our history, I'd suggest you read it, because it is the entrepreneur's dream. So congratulations to all of you for attempting this today, because that is very bold in itself. He would have loved to have seen your presentations. He always was a big proponent of entrepreneurism. That's why our company is still the way that it is, even though we've been public and now we're private equity. It doesn't change who we are, how we work. And so congratulations to all of you for your attempts today, and excited to hear who the winner is. And thanks for letting us sponsor. We love to support our community.
And Legalshield has been an amazing sponsor as this pitch event has developed over the last few years, and we can't thank you enough, Jeannie. Our first place winner, I'm so proud to announce in the revenue generating category, is Kelly with Crown International. Thank you so much, Kelly. We're thrilled.
Okay, I think I'm going to cry. So thank you so much, guys. This is huge. Thank you.
And I want to give a shout out to everyone that attended today. We've recorded this presentation. We will put it live on our YouTube page once we encode the video and get it out there. So give us a day or so to get it up. But you guys have made this event. You guys voted on the People's Choice Award, which we still have to award. So going through it, our surprise final People's Choice Award, and this is an award that is sponsored by Citizens Bank here in Ada. Citizens Bank was our first sponsor for this event and has always been enthusiastic about the People's Choice aspect of this. And the poll, and I want to make sure we got all the responses in and we're good to go, is CB Original with the majority of votes for this. So Charity, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Glad we could host you at this, and glad that you were the people's champion for this. And again, thank you so much to the crowd. Thank you all that attended. There's a ton going on with Global Entrepreneurship Week. We know Stitch Crew is about to have an event, which we have, again, a contestant, Naresh from our office in Ada, who's competing in that here in just a little bit. But we're so proud of Ada and Ada's companies and entrepreneurs, and we look forward to doing a ton more programming moving forward. So please follow us on social media if you don't already. Look at the Ada Jobs Foundation Facebook, our Instagram. We are very active on those platforms. We will have community entrepreneurship hour events every month. We hope to have a whole new suite of events focused on tech-based entrepreneurship coming in 2022. In addition to this, we have a number of different programs for local companies. We work with manufacturing companies. We work to attract new businesses and target industries to our area. And we also work to support community development in general and assist in growing the City of Ada's tax base. So appreciate you all coming out, and we look forward to another successful year. So to all the winners, please celebrate, please enjoy this, and we will be in touch very soon. So thanks all.